I'm sure we're not the only community. So,
Yeah.
I've heard what you said, but
yeah.
it still comes down to,
Yeah.
following through and doing what you say, so please do that.
Yeah.
There's if I'm not mistaken, a 60-day thing when you discuss something like this, and it needs to get correct.
Yep.
Something like that, the contract, if I'm not mistaken. That's now,
It may be sounded a long time to correct something.
I will ask too that, when you are informed, and obviously I'm not sure if you have my contact information, but I'll share that. If you catch wind of anything like that, any day-to-day issues that you're hearing about, if you could reach out to me directly and just let me know, because I do work very closely with our customer service team, but I have 55 other municipal contracts throughout the state, so there's a lot of things that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis, so I'm not touching base with them on a weekly or daily basis about things that they're hearing in certain communities unless things are being escalated directly to me. So if there's things that you're hearing and things aren't being taken care of quickly enough, please let me know and I'll be able to, raise some red flags and make sure that we're on top of this stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I gotta say, when I leave a message, whatever, it's just a short time, so he's trying his.
And one more thing that I do want to mention, so with this acquisition, we like to say that it's operating as business as usual. I know that it might not seem like that right now, but we do have that contract in place, and although some of GFL's policies and procedures might be a little bit different than they were with LRS, it is the expectation that we are upholding everything that's in that contract that we have with you. So I did share a paper copy of a contract assignment. So it's just I know that you guys are looking at that for the first time, so that is something that we're looking for all of our current accounts to ultimately sign and return back to us. It just says that you had an agreement in place with Badger Land Disposal or LRS, and now GFL after this acquisition is taking over your contract for the remainder of the life of that contract. So with you guys, it'll be through end of 2027. So if you have any questions on that, let me know, but that is something that we're looking to get on file.
Yes, and I'm assuming we will have our attorney look at this too before we sign.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Let me know if you need anything else from me for that.
Can you also provide a copy of the original and renewed public contract?
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Have a good night. Thank you.
Number 2, discussion of possible action regarding contract with Catalyst for continuation of annual assessment work for 2026 through 2028.
So our contract with Catalyst is essentially up for property, the annual work related to permits and all that type of thing. They provided us with a copy of the contract a few days before our last meeting. We tabled it in June, and it is back for hopeful action at this one. I made a motion to table it last month because I didn't realize that they hadn't sent it to Michelle and distributed to you guys before the meeting, so.
So you're apparently good with this?
I am. So I would make a motion that we approve the contract renewal with Catalyst for annual assessment work for the town of Palmyra, the years 2026 through 2028.
Motion, I'll second the motion. The motion's been made and a second. Accepting the contract from 2026 to 2028 with Catalyst. Any further discussion?
Yes, let's slow down a minute. Which document did you say it wasn't here?
It's not in our email that you were in.
Okay, apparently we haven't seen it. Are the terms the same as the current contract? I don't think I've seen the current contract either. Any terms changes with the new contract?
Terms of it, no. The cost of the assessment, annual work was about $500 a year. Between the current contract.
From what to what?
From 12,500 to 13,000.
Did they get a reason for the increase?
I would assume the fact that the other one is 3 years old and nothing else that can cost to come up.
Like everything else.
I would much prefer to review the contract if you guys want to board.
All in favor, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Motion carried. Discussion and possible action regarding appointment of Adam Adson to Highway Commission due to resignation of Ed Miller. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Living the dream.
There might be one or two people that don't know Adam, but I've known him for a long time. You want to say something about yourself? Or?
Of course.
Josh? Okay.
So I would make a motion to appoint Adam Hansett to the Highway Committee.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Well, I did have something that I wanted to, thank Ed Miller. He served a little over 2 years on our Highway Committee. He also spent 8 years as a town board supervisor, with the majority of that time being designated as the quote highway supervisor. He helped me out immensely. Instead of building physical bridges, he built a historic connection for this current board, for the current highway committee, and for me personally / town related. Put in, again, an additional 2 years worth of volunteer time. Provided us with all the background information from the 8 years that he was on board, as well as trying to kind of build a bridge of timeline between where things had been left off when he was a supervisor and where we picked things up in the spring of 2023. So I wanted to thank him on the record again for his service to the community to move it forward. And hopefully build a bright future for our highway inventory.
And also, even though he's not here, obviously.
With that, I'll vote on it.
All right, okay. Motion carried. Things are gonna move real quick and whatever. Number 4, update regarding sign vandalism and thefts, and discussion and possible action regarding offering of a reward for information regarding the same.
Motion to deny a reward. Motion fails for lack of second.
I just want to talk about it before we make a motion.
You tried to talking just a little bit? You did on the last one. Okay, so,
Are we keeping track year to date, how many signs have been stolen, what the total cost incurred has been?
I don't have enough data to do that.
So we don't know which signs have been stolen.
We were supposed to initially get a list from the county of the stolen signs. I've never seen one. If I get one, I can create a record, but I don't have one.
We don't know which signs have been stolen.
well,
Kind of.
T for times.
What's that?
I said T for times.
Okay.
Tyson Barnes, I talked with him last week, Tuesday maybe. Because of our last sign theft, which was actually, I think, somebody drunk or being an a-hole out on a little prairie running over the town of Palmyra sign. So it was still in the road technically, but like they didn't steal it. So Tyson has a list of signs that he has replaced. And he was in the field that afternoon when I talked with him. And he said he was going to put together, because they've got kind of like a crash thing, whatever, they have daily tickets of the work that they do, what they were for, and what it's related to. So it's gonna take a little bit of time, because he's not the administrative person that can re-pull all of that information back together, but that is essentially where we're at. Is to get.
So he will be giving us a list so we can put a cost to how much we've spent this year for stolen signs.
Correct. That is the hopeful goal.
And when is it gonna get that to us?
I didn't put a deadline on that for him, so I don't have an answer for you.
I do know that he's working on it.
Okay.
I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, it just would be important, at least for me, to understand what the scope of this is before we discuss it with the board.
So now you want to table it, or make a motion to table it?
Sure, we can I make a motion to table this topic till the August meeting, and hopefully we have some feedback from Tyson.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion on the motion of tabling it to August?
Just to advise you, our current through August 1st, let's call it, which really is actually July 14th, we've spent $3,364.65 on signs
So far.
total,
Since,
not just stolen signs.
And speaking of that, Michelle, we'll rely on the next bill from the county, because those Blue Sweet Lake signs is horrible. And they're,
Have we passed that invoice on to,
I don't think
District yet?
I haven't seen any.
we haven't seen it too before.
Josh,
So anyway, motion to table. Second, any further discussion? All in favor of tabling number 4 till the next meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Josh,
Number 5, resolution adopting.
Hang on a second, Terry.
I just have a question about when was that from, that dollar amount until July? Was that the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the second question is, do we have any idea, is there a significant area that they're being stolen from, or is it all throughout the town?
Yeah, the town of Palmyra.
Thanks, Josh. I deserve that.
I'll tell you, it's not just the town of Palmyra. They cleaned up 4 of them off of Z from 59 past Cocaine.
It's Avery,
Well-
it's Jefferson, it's all over.
Oh, yeah.
Cold Spring, Washington. And Hebron, they just run back over and take the whole works. So it's very intense. It's a fantastic waste of time.
Here, here.
Yeah.
Number 5, resolution adopting the Jefferson County Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan 2025 through 2029. We have it here someplace. I don't see it now.
asked us to adopt this. This is pretty much a routine resolution. It's been since 29, and we have to adopt this in order to be eligible for aid for different emergencies that may happen.
Such as, you know, disaster, tornado, et cetera.
It's extremely routine.
So my only question is that part of the resolution that they drafted says, whereas the common council village board conducted a public hearing on blank 2025 to accept public input concerning the updated plan.
This hasn't been here very long, and they're hoping to have them by August 1st.
Is this considered a public hearing?
No.
So we have to schedule a public hearing to talk about this issue.
I don't
Before
know if
August,
she denies-
before August.
We're going to do that on August 1st, because requirements for
Public hearing accepted.
Yeah, that's what
But the fact of the matter is, we can't approve this if it says on there that it's not gonna vote.
I will call, we have an emergency management director, that is the lady who will be up with this,
when you call them, can you get that person or whoever, have somebody from the county commit to be at a public hearing and answer questions that come up?
well, I can, but I'm hoping we don't need a public hearing, but we'll, yes.
But she does, whoever's in charge of this letter needs to revise it, at least put town on there, too, town.
Well, it's a template, and I'm expected to type the proper words in there for you, so,
In the blanks, but the words that are standard, you need to be updated and changed the way it sits, you need a public hearing.
I'll check with them.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to table this.
Second?
Motion has been made to table. Item number 5 under new business, resolution adopting Jefferson County Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan. Until the clerk comes up with some more information. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. Old business. Number 6, discussion and possible action regarding collection of traffic data for Little Prairie Road.
So I have, since last month's meeting, since last month's meeting, 2 things. One, I believe we all received we received email correspondence from Chuck Kilmer, who was here last month, which I'm going to partially read and address in a minute. But number 2, as requested by the board, started the process to reach out for a speed study for Little Prairie Road. One of the first places that I called was Jefferson County Highway Department, and they have, I'll call it equipment, very similar to what we borrowed from the town of Troy last year, 2 years ago, whatever it was. So in your packet is a summary of the information that they collected, in this case, from County Highway B. This would be the same presentation of information that we would get. They obviously have a number of different locations that they set up their ribbons to take out speed and related traffic count data, all of the stuff that goes along with it. The county would provide us with not only this report at the end of whatever we decided to do, but also give us their fatherly advice on how they would handle it if it was their road. Okay?
So this is just an
Those are
example.
multiple different locations of the information that they
Right, so
collected
this
from
isn't,
County Highway.
this isn't Little Prairie Road, that's one.
Correct. So if we have them set up on Little Prairie Road once, it would be $100. If we have them set up in 2 different locations, it would be $200. If we we have them set up in 3 locations, which would be my suggestion to the board, it would be $300. And we would get a report just like this.
For a week, when it is,
They run it for 2 days each location.
okay, for 2 days.
So, with that being said, it is the starting point, again, of a speed study, because this information is necessary to start the basis of speed study. 2 things. I also asked if they had the historic data from 2018, and they do not. From when they did it. The second aha moment during that conversation was, if you remember what Little Prairie looked like before they paved it, it looked way worse than it looks like right now, and the speed was still at 54 miles an hour. So there's potential that with a nice flat driving surface, number one, it was 5.5, 6 years ago that they collected the data. And number two, it was technically on a different road surface than what we currently have right now. So whether we have the data or we don't, but if we did, I don't know that it would even be a valid starting point to say, hey, here's all the information we have to go over the road and start speed study, because it's not relevant anymore. So, along with that, I wanted to, excuse me, bring up some points that Mr. Kilmer put in his email. Again, just reiterated to him that I was going to address what he brought up to us. At Little Prairie Road, has been told to him that it was not permissible to have been changed to 35 miles without a speed study. He believes that Little Prairie Road, in comparison to Tamarack, has more qualifying structures on it and a trail crossing and intersections than what does Tamarack Road, which is posted 35. I want to reiterate the fact that the number of homes doesn't matter. The number of trail crossings also does not matter for us to be able to automatically reduce it down to 35 miles an hour. It is a 200-foot driveway separation only, which I went back to Little Prairie Road and I measured, and there are 2 sections that are approximately 500 yards long each, where we can post it at 35 miles an hour, but then 45, 45, 45, 45. Go through the park, go through the turns, down to the village to 25, which I'm not a traffic engineer, and I'm not even gonna really opine on that, other than what common sense kind of says to me on that. He also had concerns about estimates for what we discussed, the potential of doing long line painting down the center line of Little Prairie Road. In his email, he alludes to the fact that we would do that on our own somehow without any sort of MUTCD basis, which is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. So, number one, we don't have a striping cart. Number two, I'm not going to volunteer to do it. Number three, any company that puts down any stripes on any public highway has to, absolutely has to follow the MUTCD for one-line striping. So, the big picture of it, I understand that Mr. Kilmer is very vested in this, but there are a number of things that in his email I don't believe are reflective of the conversation that we had in June. Nonetheless, I understand his concern. I would suggest and make the motion that we have the county highway department set up for 3 different locations. Generally, in my own mind, it's one just leaving the village, going through the village, and going out of town. Be just past the horse park, actually just near where Mr. Kilmer's property is, and just call it west of Beasley Road. With the county's input on final placement, to collect that data and bring it back and have a conversation about what the 85th percentile is, because the 85th percentile is the baseline of what enforcement would start with. If it comes back like this one, it says that the 85th percentile was 60 miles an hour, 46 miles an hour, right? That means 85% of the traffic was doing at least 46. That is where that speed limit generally would be set. You're not going to set that at 35 miles an hour because we're setting up 2 different things. The fact that people believe that they can travel that speed without hazard, and number 2, you're setting up an enforcement issue. Expectations of enforcement. You could put it at 15 miles an hour too. And if 99.9% of people are doing 35, they're not gonna do 15 just because of the sign. So I think establishing or reestablishing the 85th percentile, which I believe was either 52 or 54 miles an hour before it was repaved, is an important piece of where we started with this. Between now and the time that we get the information back, which depending on if we approve it, scheduling for when we get out in 3 to 5 weeks from now, we would have this information for Tamarack Road back in our hands. We can address whether or not we want to spend another additional X amount of thousands to have, I'm sorry, what did I say, Tamarack? To do the next step of this would be, okay, the 85th percentile, let's say, is 40 miles an hour. And we think it's warranted to have a speed study done to see if we should reduce it to 35 or 40 or whatever the number is. We can have that conversation once we have the data in our hands and make a better educated decision about what step 2 or 3 looks like.
I'll second Josh's motion as stated. Any further discussion?
Just a quick question, will we be able to request this data on a thumb drive or something so that we're able to keep it
I'm
going forward?
assuming so. If it comes in an email, I'll put it on a thumb drive. That's it.
Just so we have it, I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't keep it obviously from last time, we good to have it.
Did you say the price was
$300.
For 3 locations.
Where would we take it out of the budget?
Out of the
Roads?
there's a general. Out of the 53,311 account,
Which is,
highway and street maintenance account, it's kind of our general.
we have funds available.
We have currently spent $2,679 and $5,000.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7, continuation of discussion and possible action regarding current status of borrowed funds and potential refinancing or additional borrowing for road projects.
So this was tabled last month again, between last month and meeting tonight, put together essentially 4 different, if you want to call it spreadsheets, 4 different options, or 4 different exhibits, let's call it that. One on the top is from our budget workshops. Last time it was revised was October 25th of 2024. That was our last go around, and this was one of the tabs that we used to identify in October of last year where we thought our draws were going to land. Again, totaling out $600,000 by July 14th, 2025. The next one is where we actually are as of today, which is the 2 draws only in 2024 that total $242,000. A pending 3rd draw, which would be for the chip seal, crack fill, and flex patch work that Farmer did both in 2024 and in 2025, which is the red amount. So this is the draw 3 is the pending. I also tried to break out a little bit on towards the right-hand margin, calculations of interest due and principal payments for all of that information. If that kind of makes sense. So the first page is just our budget worksheet. The second page that we're, I think, all looking at right now is today. Questions so far? Page 3 is where we get into options, and page 4 is more options. So, page 3 shows the same information as page 2, which shows the first 2 draws that were made in 2024, the pending draw 3 for farmer, and then that 84,000 is the remaining line of credit that we have available. Okay. We could do one of 2 things. We could use that $84,098 towards the upcoming payment for Tamarack Road paving, and then take out a secondary, if you want to call it that, a secondary note for the remaining balance of Tamarack Road. It's going to cost more than $84,000 to pave Tamarack. So, for simplicity's sake, I took a 5-year note with $141,000 at 5.5% interest, which is what Bruce said since the last month ago, interest rates are at, maybe slightly less than that right now. And I added in $3,000 worth of, I'm calling it closing costs or origination fees for the loan, which is roughly what we pay on the line of credit. So it's probably gonna be a little bit less, but I'm trying to standardize between all the options. So again, we've got the payments due for the line of credit on the right-hand margin-ish, and then the total amount that would be due if we did a 5-year at 5.5%, the remaining balance of Tamarack. So Mark. And the last one would be, again, 2 draws, page 4 would be the 2 draws that we took in 2024. The pending draw for Farmerville, which is kind of the steer that we had the conversation over last month, that more than likely Farmerville would come out of this line of credit. And then rather than using the remaining balance of the line of credit, is to issue a separate whole note for Tamarack Road. Use the same loan calculators for page 3 and page 4. What the variable really comes down to is how the interest is compounded. It is done daily, monthly, or annually. But I can tell you that in any case, there is about a $12 difference cheaper to issue a separate note for Tamarack and to leave the $84,000 line of credit unpaid, if that makes sense.
Where do we see the $12,000?
$12. So 2 green box there, the green box over there.
Okay, what's the total price of a Tamarack Road project? $230?
We budgetarily estimated $225. Okay. The bids for both HMA and bid for pulverizing repaving came in less than the county giving us a estimate. We don't have a total of either of those in our hand for me to be able to plug in. So I use our budgetary amount. We have to have the invoice come in, and once we pay for the hot mix, the county will then reimburse us the $31,000 and change for the grant portion. And then we will have to pay the county the difference for the rest of their services.